Alright, hello everyone, it is me, Inky, and about a month or two ago I started a webcomic thing. It's a Pac Man AU based around the ghosts, and well, in the first one I specified how Blinky died in universe. So I decided, as instead of just giving a bunch of exposition in the comics, which just wouldn't be needed, I instead am just going to have some short videos, well hopefully short, that explain about different things happening in the universe. So for this, I'll be going through the 7 main ghosts and what is canon for their universe so far. So first up, we have Blinky. Blinky was born in 1956. They don't all have birthdays and all that, and he died in 1983. So 40 years ago. Blinky is the red ghost. He lurks in the shadows and whatnot when they get around to chasing Pac Man, which is later in the comic. He found himself on Ghost Island after he was sliced by a wind turbine when skydiving. That was a horrible accident that happened to him. And he somehow finds himself being the leader of this group of ghosts. Don't ask how, it will be explained. And he ends up having Funky living with him because guess what? Too many Pacs have died. They're in a homing crisis. Get over it. Alright, next up we have Inky, who was born sometime in the 1970s and died in the 1990s. Sucks to be him. He was struck by lightning, which explains the hair thing. The canon with their hair and hats and all that is when they die, they get given like a set of options of what they can have their hat and hair looks like, which are somewhat related to their death. So that's how come he's a lightning bolt. He is siblings with Pinky. That's been something I've just decided like before this happens and whatnot. And that's how we met Blinky and Clyde. It was through her because she was dead already. Yeah, and he will be Blinky's right-hand ghost, given time. Next up we have Pinky, who was born in the late 60s. She died in the 1980s in a fire which melted her eyes, which is due to her needing glasses in this. Her eyes got melted. Shame. And she is quite self-centered. Clyde, he was killed by a monster truck landing on him. He went to the crowd one day and the monster truck just landed on top of him. That was a tragic death. Also, he shared the same death day as Blinky, so that's how the two of them met. They both kind of showed up on Ghost Island at the same time. The reason they're not celebrating for him in the first comic is, quite frankly, the whole surprise thing for Blinky was his idea. Even if he doesn't get the surprise by himself, he was also born sometimes in the 1940s. Next up we move to Funky, which this design is outdated already. It's only been like a month or two. Basically, the law with the ghosts is that if you're a pack person that dies, you're this sort of height. If you're some sort of animal that dies, you're a midget. Not a midget, but you're smaller. Like, he'd be cut off like around here. They're smaller. And then, if you were created on Ghost Island, like Spooky, who I'll talk about in a different one of these, you will just be any size. So because Funky in canon, well, he was a guinea pig like a test subject, rat, guinea pig, animal in some laboratory, and one of the experiments killed him. He was born in 2021 and died in 2023, so he is relatively new to this whole ghost business as the time of the series starts, which sucks to be him. And because he was a lab rat of sorts, he's into the machines and stuff, even though they always fail on him. So yeah. Then we have Spunky, who she was born in 2008 and died this year as well. She died around the same time as Funky and ended up being at the Welcome New Ghost. This is how Ghost Island's presentation thing is at the same time as Funky, which is how the two of them met and why they're friends. And also, like how Funky has to live with Blinky because of homing issues and stuff, Spunky is stuck having to live with Sue. Speaking of Sue, we'll move on to Sue now. Sue, nobody knows when she was born or died. She's just always been there. And yeah, she's there at the welcome center where you arrive on Ghost Island. She's like, hi, welcome, get going, and all that. And the only reason she speaks to the others is because she is stuck with Spunky. And that people, is the context so far between these 7 ghosts. I thank you for watching, and yeah.